Hi, this is Bronwyn Hahn, otherwise known as Bronwyn the Brave, and these are my Quiver Mitts. It's a pattern for fingerless mitts with options for convertible fingerless mitts or full mittens. And all three options have an afterthought thumb. Not a true afterthought thumb because there is some prep involved, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Here is where the thumb will eventually be. This is a row of scrap yarn holding onto some live stitches. When we remove this, there will be a gaping hole, but that's okay because we need a hole for our thumb to go into. And we will continue, we'll pick up these stitches and continue to knit a little tube that will be our little thumb. They look a little goofy just because it's the nature of Afterthought Thumbs. They look a little goofy just laying on the table like this, but they fit like normal mittens. I'll show you. See? Normal mitt, but very easy to do. Easy to fit. So the prep involved is using a scrap yarn, something that's smooth and will not grab onto your knitting or leave a bunch of fuzz behind when you actually do remove that yarn. That's pretty important. And I generally use sock yarn because I have a lot of it sitting around from knitting socks and shawls. This is a little bit heavier than I would normally use, but I was hoping for a little contrast. And oh, the other thing I wanted to show you is what's going on over here. These are how I mark my round repeats, my stitch repeats. This is an 8 round repeat, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repeats before I insert my thumb. And I actually have another video on how to do that. So we've worked across in pattern as the instructions say, and we're ready to start working with our scrap yarn. Now I'm going to get this working yarn out of the way because it's easy to get a little tangled up sometimes. And I'm just going to start knitting these 8 stitches for the thumb. If I can get my hands working here. My scrap yarn is probably a little bit shorter than I would recommend. I think this is maybe about 12 inches, so a good 18 inches would probably be more ideal. But you work with what you've got. So I've got 4 stitches on the first needle, 4 stitches on the next. And you can see that here. Maybe. We've got 4 and 4. Now we're going to slip those without working them. Just slip those back to our left needle. So we got the first 4. Trying to get caught on my shawl. Okay, so here's my working yarn. Tighten this up just a tiny bit so it's not so loosey-goosey. Now, it's not really going to matter if these are worked in pattern or if they're just worked in plain stockinette, if you're just knitting them straight across. But since I'm working in pattern up until this point, and after the thumb stitches are worked, I don't want to mess up my stitch pattern. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna mess it up probably. So I'm gonna continue working in pattern, and this is just a 2x2 rib that's broken up, and I'm gonna snug up that scrap yarn back there. Okay, so here I have my first 4 stitches worked into that scrap yarn there, and that scrap yarn is going to stay until we're ready to work that thumb. Get back over to the second needle, Get a little tangled up. Tighten that up a little bit. And we got splitty yarn, not a problem. Okay, and I'm about to lose this side. Like I said, it's a good idea to have a little bit longer length. And I'm not keeping this in view for you, I apologize. So we have 8 stitches worked across. And then we'll continue knitting around in pattern. See, by working in pattern on those thumb stitches, I don't have to go back and figure out where the heck I am in the pattern. I can just continue on. So there we are, 2/3 of the way around, and it's going to be straddling these 2 needles, but that's exactly where we need it to be. And I'll come back and show you how I pick up those stitches in a few minutes.